Colby Dime. When Colby Dime was featured on the cover of the Sporting Dog newspaper, in the July/August 1975 edition, Jack Kelly observed that it would be difficult to find a Colby dog that did not have Dime's name on the pedigree more than once. Colby Dime was a small dog, weighing 30 pounds. Dime is the father of over 200 dogs, and many of them are champions. It was stated in Lewis Colby's book, that Dime was crossed 15 times. And the females produced a total of 78 puppies. It becomes the most truthful fact because it's been over 40 years since this edition of the Sporting Dog Journal came out. And the number of dogs, dog lines and bases for string lineages, which were built from this Colby Dime dog, is giant. And that family continues to grow. Many of them are champions. The Colby Dime was created by Lewis Colby, as were his father, mother, grandfather and grandmother. Colby Dime is the son of Colby Penny. The penny is also known and registered in some pedigrees as the Fuller penny. He was born from a litter of 10 puppies. His mother was Colby Tweedy. The litter was born on August 26, 1949. Colby Tweedy is the daughter of Colby Judo, who is a direct son of Colby Primo. Colby Primo is the offspring of the male Colby Brandy and the female Colby Mabel. This story is unique, interesting for the breed. See why below. After a great deal of effort, mainly on the part of the man W. T. Brandon, 3 years of mailing, around 1933. The American Kennel Club, the AKC, decided to consider registering the breed upon its creation. The famous American Pit Bull Terrier. They decided to adopt and register the Pit Bull, under the name Staffordshire Terrier, in order to downplay their reputation as fighting dogs. And on June 9, 1936, the American Kennel Club finally recognized the amazing American Pit Bull Terrier. A committee led by W. T. Brandon was delegated to create a standard for the breed, which would be used by the American Kennel Club. They based this pattern in John P. Colby's backyard, on a dog named Primo. This committee measured and observed the Colby Primo and the breed standard was established for that dog. A photo of the Colby Primo was used to represent this standard, for the American Kennel Club notary. And the Pit Bull came to be called the Staffordshire Terrier, and for many years it followed. Colby Primo was one of the first dogs to have 3 records. The United Kennel Club registration number is 223-460. The American Dog Breeders Association registration number is 500-01. And the American Kennel Club, registration number 641-443. Even a quick look at the Colby Primo's pedigree, you will see the cross between half-siblings. On his father's side the famous Colby Galtai. His son is Colby Demo and Colby Jewel, who crossed to give birth to Colby Primo's father. The so-called Colby Brandy. Colby Brandy was a beautiful little dog. He was a brindle color, very dark. He only weighed 14 pounds in good shape. He was the grandson of Colby Galtai, on both sides at the top of the pedigree. Son of the male Colby Demo, with the female Colby Jewel. He was a sire for John P. Colby during the 1930s. Colby Brandy was the type of dog that would bite anything with 4 paws. He would grab any dog he saw, even if it was a female in heat. During his reproduction, he had to be put on a very short chain, about 45 centimeters long. The females were covered with it, very cautiously. His heads could never be together, not even for a moment. Colby Brandy's father, the Colby Demo, was a red dog with the exact opposite personality of his son. The Colby demo was maintained by John O'Donnell, who owned a restaurant on Inn Street in Newburyport, Massachusetts. Colby demo was crossed with several bitches, being the most respected of the time. He was a notable producer. However, he himself was a very friendly dog. He made many friends with the neighborhood dogs, and he loved the children playing in the schoolyard. He always attended this school. He wouldn't bother another dog unless he himself was provoked first. Remember that at this point we are still talking about the creation behind the Colby Primo. The cousin who was the first American Pit Bull Terrier to be triple registered. And that was used for the breed standard when they were entered into the American Kennel Club. Also remember that the cousin Colby was the great-grandfather of Colby Dime. Now let's turn our attention to Colby Primo's dam, a famous female named Colby Mabel. Colby Mabel is the daughter of the dog Colby Blind Jack. Colby Blind Jack was a very handsome dog. He was born on April 10, 1932. Colby Blind Jack is the son of the male Colby Billy and the female Colby Belle. When the male Colby Blind Jack was crossed with the female Colby Peggy H. When you open the pedigree of Colby Primo, you will see that the female Colby Peggy H. is a half-sister of Colby Primo. The two are sons of the dog Colby Brandy. Colby Brandy was crossed with her own granddaughter to produce Primo. So, when opening the pedigree of Colby Mabel, Colby Primo's dam, you'll also note that Colby Gyp III, the mother of Peggy H., is also Colby Blind Jack's half-sister. In other words, a son of Colby Billy crossed with a granddaughter of Colby Billy. The Colby Billy was first entered in the stud books of the United Kennel Club in July 1930. The Colby Billy was also known as Rushlow's Billy. Joe Rushlow was John P. Colby's barber and used to breed dogs for John P. Colby. To further illustrate the intense line breeding done by John P. Colby, just compare the pedigree of Colby Billy with those of Colligan Marshall and Colby Dinah. Colby Merle is the mother of Colby Tweedy, who is the father of Colby Dime, who was also known as Vose Merle. He came from a half-brother to be bred with a female dog registered as Camet Flash, known as Colby Buffy. Both are sons of Colby's dog Flub Dub. Camet's Flash is the son of the female Colby Pupsy. And Colby Buffy is the son of the female Colby Trixie. She is Colby Primo's litter sister. As Colby's Flub Dub fathered Camet's Flash and Colby Buffy. Let's take a look at how Flub Dub was born. He is the son of Colby Billy, who we already talked about. His mother, Colby Chips, came from a father-daughter cross. She is the daughter of Colby's dog Brandy, with their daughter Peggy H. Both of which we've already talked about. This also makes Colby Chips a half-sister to Colby Mabel through Peggy H. Camet Flash's mother was Colby Pupsy. Colby Pupsy was born on June 26, 1933. She was a beautiful, reddish, brindle female who weighed approximately 30 pounds. She was also the half-sister of Colby Peggy H., both daughters of Colby Brandy. Colby Pupsy's mother was Colby Jill, a full sister of Colby Blind Jack. Colby Pupsy was also the mother of the litter, to Colby Budding Fool, when she was bred to Colby Rowdy. Colby Buffy, the other daughter of Colby Flub Dub, is the mother of Colby Merle. She was a beautiful female. She was red, with a white head. She was the daughter of the female Trixie of Colby. Colby Trixie was born on May 29, 1935. She was Colby Pupsy's half-sister. The two were children of Colby Brandy. However, Colby Trixie, daughter of Colby Mabel, is another female we've already talked about. Colby Rifle was the father of Colby Fuller Penny, who is the mother of Colby Dime. The Colby rifle is the son of Colby Buddy. Colby Buddy was raised at the U.S. Coast Guard Station at Plum Island, Massachusetts. Colby Buddy was later sold to longtime family friend Colby. Sir Howard Haensel. Howard Haensel and Bud Borelli used Buddy, in the Chicago area, to win some big battles. Howard Haensel once claimed that Colby Buddy was, without a doubt, the best fighting dog he ever had. Howard Haensel stated that he would have to evaluate more about Buddy the dog. He has even more than dogs like Haensel's T-Bone, Colby Dime's litter brother and the famous Tudor Dubois. Colby Buddy was Camet Flash's half-brother, the two are sons of the female Pupsy. He was also the littermate of the female Colby Fool. We'll talk more about Colby's full dog at a later date. Colby Buddy Fool was born on August 11, 1937. Son of Colby Rowdy and sired by Pupsy. The dog, Colby Rowdy, was sired by Colby Blind Jack. This makes him Colby Mabel's half-brother. Colby Rowdy's dam was the female Colby Maggie. She is Colby Brandy's half-sister, through the female Jewel. Colby Fuller Penny is the mother of Colby Dime. And she is the daughter of the male Rifle, with the female Colby Sassy. This is where we turn to the female Colby Fool for a moment. She is the litter sister of the dog Colby Buddy. Colby Fool was a beautiful brindle female who was also dual registered with the American Kennel Club and was a Staffordshire Terrier. As stated, she was a litter sister to Colby's dog, Buddy. She was also the great-grandmother of Colby Dime. Colby Sassy is the daughter of Colby's male, Trim. Colby Trim was born on June 20, 1940. He was a beautiful red dog. He had a shiny coat. Trim is the son of Colby's female Pugsy. Pugsy is the daughter of Colby's male Paddy too, he is Rowdy's litter brother. There have been many dogs named Paddy over the last century. However, this was a beautiful grey brindle, and litter brother to Colby Rowdy. Colby Paddy too was known as the dog with the big head and the big heart. You will sometimes see Colby Pugsy's name misspelled as Pugsy, but it should have two G before the S. Colby Trim's dam was the female Colby Shirley. Colby Shirley was born to the female Colby Wasp. Colby Wasp is the daughter of the female Colby Blaze, who is the litter sister of Colby Jewel, crossed with the dog Colby Turk. Colby Turk was born on August 9, 1940. Colby Turk is the son of Colby Rowdy and Colby's female, Trixie. We will meet more than once, dogs like Colby Brandy, Demo, Jewel, Mabel, Blind Jack and Billy, from Galtai and Dinah. These are the dogs that take us all the way back to the lineage of John P. Colby's dogs. Some of you who are reading this information, and have been at this for a while, may have heard of these ancient names. While for many others of you reading this, these names might have been new to you. Up to this point, we have discussed the ancestors of the Colby Dime. To provide a basic understanding of how he was born. However, we will now cover what may be considered more familiar ground for newcomers to the breed. Even newcomers and novices will, or at least should, recognize the names of dogs like Finley's Champion, the Beau Rhum. Finley Beau Champion sired some of the most famous dogs in recent history. To give you a basic understanding of what he produced. He sired great dogs like the Grand Champion Outlaw of Hargrove. RC and the SOSO Boys Magnum Rom Grand Champion, and Bronco Champion. Finley's Champion Beau also sired Hooper's Champion Bully. Hooper's Bully was born when he was crossed with Crenshaw's Champion Honey Bunch Rom. Finley's Champion Beau sired the famous litter he gave to the American Pitbull Terrier world. James Crenshaw's champion Charlie, Missy champion and famed record producer of merit, the Crenshaw champion Jeep Rom. Finley champion Beau Rom, was a closed pedigree dog in the Colby Dime dog. Colby Dime, in turn, was considered one of the best producers of his time. He was recognized, long before the title of Record of Merit was established by Jack Kelly. Colby Dime's name appears 8 times, top and bottom, on the 6th-generation pedigree of champion Finley. And you can't forget the famous bass tramp Red Boy either. Personally, I find it amusing when I hear young breeders talk about what they call a Jeep/Red Boy crossover. There is no doubt that crossing the descendants of James Crenshaw's Jeep with those of Bass's registered 2-time combat-winning dog, Tramp Red Boy Rom. The Bass Tramp Red Boy Rom has produced a number of notable dogs of the more modern generation. Regardless of the descendants used, these can be considered crosses. Since Crenshaw champion Jeep, he is the son of Finley's dog champion Beau and also of Bass Tramp dog Red Boy Rom. Son of Howard Teal the dog Jeff. They are both descendants of Colby Dime. Howard Teal owned the dog registered as Teal Sarge. Sarge is a purebred Colby male. He is the son of the famous Colby Dime and his mother was Colby Margie. Sir Howard Teal considered Louis Colby a close personal friend. Louis Colby was the creator of Teal Sarge. Teal Sarge was the winner of several fights. He was a litter brother to the famous dog of the Lyman champion Paddy. Jim Lyman's champion Paddy was known for being the 22-pound champion in the Northeast region and the New England champion. Even though Teal Sarge lost to Edward Silky, a son of Tudor's Hound the Dubois. Even so, this did not lessen the importance of his victories, nor did it lessen his popularity as a sire. Sir Howard Teal once told me that Teal Sarge was one of his favorite dogs. Teal Jeff, who is Teal Sarge's son, was his best dog overall. Howard Teal also claimed that his best dog, too, was Frank Fitzwater's old Fritz Cheyenne. He is Sarge's half-brother. He was the son of Teal Sargent, registered as Teal Jeff, who produced one of the most popular stud dogs in modern history, the Bass Tramp Red Boy dog. Teal Jeff also proved to be a dead game dog, in a battle that lasted over 2 hours and 40 minutes. You must remember that Jeff de Teal was over 7.5 years old at that time. Over time, Jeff de Teal proved to be an excellent producer. Teal Sargent passed his legacy of gameness to his son Jeff, and that gameness and skill has now been bestowed on his sons. Sons such as Joe Medlin's Grand Champion Outlaw, and the famous 2-time champion Bass Tramp Red Boy. He became the basis for the dogs that breeders now call Red Boy dogs. Howard Teal owned a very playful female named Teal Jip. She was the Congo daughter of Bob Neblett. Jip de Teal was the mother of Lou de Howard Teal, the mother of Teal Jeff. Thus, the Colby Dime lineage is preserved with the Teal dog Jeff. When Teal Jeff was bred to his own daughter, McLeod's female Susie Q. Gow, the famous Bass Tramp Red Boy was born. One of the most famous descendants of Colby Dime. And it can be considered the best. Congo Neblett was born on November 16, 1953. The Congo dog of Neblett is the son of the female Tibby of Colby. Neblett's Congo came from a litter of 12 puppies. They were bred by Mike Colby. Neblett's Congo, in turn, was the father of Kelly's bobtail Buddy. He who with the weight of 23 kilos won a battle, notable in 1961. Neblett's Congo is also the father of Cole's Pete. This was the dog that defeated Shoemaker's Ringo in a battle lasting 1 hour and 30 minutes in 1961. Sir Robert Neblett had an excellent pedigree of dogs. They were based on his dog, Neblett Grand Champion Bucky McCoy. However, he used that blood on Colby's dogs, to preserve his lineage. From Neblet's Congo part, another dog, Colby that he produced, with excellent results, was the Neblet Little Cookie. Neblet Little Cookie came from a cross of Colby Dime with the female Colby Margie. He was born on October 21, 1953. That's right, she was the litter sister of Sir Howard Teal's dog Sarge. And also Jim Lyman's champion Patty. Another great dog is Ed Crenshaw's Colby Rusty, born June 25, 1954. He became known as Hob Rusty. Ed Crenshaw's Colby Rusty was also used as a stud by Maurice Carver under both names. Ed Crenshaw the Hobbs Colby Rusty will be found in the pedigree of many of the greatest dogs of his time. It will be found in the pedigrees of dogs such as, the Plummer Champion Alligator, the Adams and Crutchfield, also known as Stinson and Glover, the famous Grand Champion Art. And dogs like Lewis Champion Hope, and also Lewis Champion Catfish. As we mentioned before, the litter brother of Ed Crenshaw's Colby Rusty, was Champion Patty of Lyman, and Little Cookie of Neblet and also of Teal's dog Sarge. Most breeders, even those using this line of dogs, have never looked into these connections. Regarding the female Colby Margie, she was crossed with Colby Dime 3 times. An earlier breed, Colby Dime and Margie, produced the Colby Sparks Texas dog, owned by Pete Sparks. Pete Sparks's Texas is the dog that produced dogs like, the combat winners known as Bishop Crazy, and Bishop Jeremiah, and also the great producing female named Burkett Dutch. When he bred to his own daughter, they produced the excellent registered producer Colby Mandy, and his litter brother is Lapasse's great producer, Colby Rusty. Colby Sparks Texas, when crossed with Hetrick Bootsy Girl, produced the great combat winner. Also highly popular is a purebred Colby dog, registered as BB Hetrick Colby Chopper. However, the female Neblet Little Cookie was born from the second cross, Colby Dime and Margie. A bit of history about Neblet Little Cookie is the fact that she is the great-grandmother of the Maniscalco Lady. The Lady of Maniscalco made her wrestling debut at a convention in October 1960. She was the female who defeated Gabun Trahan Diamond, with a weight of 19.5 kilos. This fight lasted 35 minutes. That was on October 23, 1960. Trahan Diamond was conditioned by Gabun Trahan, and released by Howard Teal. David Maniscalco and his brother Roland trained their little red female, named Lady. This was Lady's debut into the professional wrestling world and she was only 18 months old at the time. During his contest, Roland Bout was betting 100-20 on Lady. Ultimately, Lady not only won her contest, but was also named Best Female of the show at the Cajun Convention. It was Gabun A. Trahan himself, owner of the female called Diamond, that the Lady defeated. Who proudly presented David Maniscalco, and his dog Lady with a personalized collar and leash as a trophy, for Best Female of the convention. Neblet Little Cookie was also the great-grandmother of Tip Dutch, who won a hard-fought match in 2 hours and 45 minutes. Through the breeding experience of creator Bob Neblet. The female registered as the Iron Lady of Creed was produced. Creed's Iron Lady was Neblet Little Cookie's granddaughter. She was also the mother of Creed's famous Iron Dusty, also known as Red Devil Grand Champion Ross. Ross Red Devil Grand Champion, he gained a large loyal following, and his offspring were also the basis for bloodlines. In turn, the Grand Champion Red Devil by Ross, produced the great 3-time champion, called Tuffy de Al Offer. Weighing in at 22 kilos, Offer Tuffy defeated Kelly Domino in 30 minutes. And defeated Joe Curvino Buddy, in a fight that lasted 3 hours and 10 minutes, in the year 1963. These examples only serve to demonstrate the proven and ongoing production ability of the offspring produced by Colby Dime. The crossing of father and daughter, or sister and brother, was something that Mr. Louis Colby normally did not like to do. However, after careful analysis, a breeder can easily see the inbreeding in the lineage that was used by his sire. Sir John P. Colby, in breeding the cross, which was born the Colby Dime. Even Louis Colby admitted that one of the biggest and most popular litters came from an accidental cross. When Dime got loose and bred his own daughter, Colby Cheyenne. These puppies were born on February 14, 1958. 5 puppies were born in this litter. From this litter came good dogs like Jack Kelly's Champion, the dog KO, who has gone on to become a 3-fight winner, and his baby sister, Jack Kelly Cookie. Jack Kelly's KO was owned by Joe Blanchard, who used it in his fight against Jack Kelly in 1959. Jack Kelly then bought KO, and won 2 more professional fights with him. Also included in this litter was an excellent producer, he is registered as Run Smokey. Colby Dime himself was a beautiful bulldog, he was dark brindle with a white patch on his face, and he had other white markings. He grew to be a 16-pound dog, well distributed when he was an adult. He was raised and spent his entire life with Louis Colby. Sir Louis Colby once claimed that the only time a Colby Dime was licked, it was by a 3-pound fighting hen. The fighting hen had a clutch of chicks with her, and one day Colby Dime, who was on the loose, got too close to her. The fight hen took off after Dime and splashed his ass all the way to the barn. A more modern breeder might not think that a dog that has sired as many excellent and proven fighting dogs as the Dime would take such abuse from a chicken. However, those who really know bulldogs will be amused by the story and will not be surprised. Some of his highly notable littermates were dogs like Howard Hainzel's T-Bone and Al Brown's Sicomo. Howard Hainzel stated that T-Bone was his favorite dog of all time and ranked him among the top 10 dogs he had ever seen. He also stated that T-Bone was by far the best all-around dog he ever had. Even in 1961, when T-Bone was 10.5 years old, it was felt that the old Colby dogs, like T-Bone, would soon be dying, and my question would be, what would the new fraternity do then for the breeders? Howard Hainzel not only owned Hainzel T-Bone, litter brother of Dime, but also Hainzel Champion Peter, son of Colby Dime. It would be difficult to name all the excellent dogs produced by Colby Dime. Others that readily come to mind are Ed Crenshaw's Red Boy, Freeman's Susie, Lyon's Gucky, and Eaton's Snooky. That list would also have to include McDonald's Sally, Colby Brenda Lee, and also Taylor Flossie. Again, as stated earlier, these examples only serve to demonstrate the continued proven production skills of the offspring produced by Colby Dime. This list is not meant to include everything. I'm sure many other sons and daughters of Colby Dime that should have been listed were left out. I who have my weak mind to remember them all. As stated at the beginning of this review, it would be hard to find a Colby dog from the past 20 years that doesn't have the Colby Dime name in the pedigree at least a few times. These words were written in 1975. 41 years later, in 2016, those words still ring true. Louis Colby once said, and rightly so, that when pigeon fanciers think of his father, Sir John P. Colby, they would think of dogs like the Twister, the Kager, the Pinscher, the Joker, and the Irish dog Galtai. However, when creators think of Louis Colby, they always think of Dime. Colby Dime made bulldog history on January 21, 1961. He had already gone blind and had terrible arthritis at the time. However, He wasn't alone when he fell ill. He was with the one who loved him as much as he loved him. He was in the arms of his longtime companion, Sir Lewis Colby.